Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Cook. I previously served as the Chief Programs Officer for Springs Rescue Mission, where I had the privilege to work for nearly 12 years. Before Springs Rescue Mission, I was in the business sector with a couple of decades in food services. In my approximately 20 years in food services, I did almost every job in the field that you can think of, from dishwasher to cook/chef to server, owner of a restaurant, district manager of various national chains, and vice president of a large local chain in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was also involved in dozens of restaurant and catering startups. In 2013, I was hired by Springs Rescue Mission as the food services director with a focus on both developing vocational training for men in an addiction recovery program and creating a sustainable social enterprise catering company. Over the past decade plus, food services, vocational training, and the catering company have gained national recognition and millions of dollars in grants and social enterprise revenue. As for City Vision University, I have a very strong connection to the education they provide. Between 2014 and 2022, I completed my undergraduate degree and then my MBA in nonprofit management. I went on to a different Christian university for my postgraduate degree in transformational leadership. Then I came back to work for City Vision as the social enterprise and food services program director. I also own and operate Focus Consulting, specializing in nonprofit operations, leadership, and social enterprises. With all that said, I'm here to speak on developing a training kitchen and food services employee pipeline. Today, we will discuss the following topics. First thing is, what is a teaching kitchen? In order to determine how to develop a teaching kitchen, we must first need to understand what a teaching kitchen is. Second, the second item is to consider before doing any new program or project is to understand the benefits, but you must also detail the cons or difficulties. When it comes to teaching a kitchen, there are several issues to consider. Most of these areas of opportunity are barriers that could actually become benefits in the future. And then the final topic to walk through the various levels of teaching kitchens. Some of you may have a small space for your food services, and so you are wondering if you could even develop a teaching kitchen. Others may have an industrial-sized kitchen, but need to find ways to develop what you have into something more. When I arrived at Springs Rescue Mission, the kitchen was no bigger than most home kitchens. We had to use what was available. We continued to find ways to think outside the box to provide more dedicated space. Over time, SRM has grown, and now they have a commercial kitchen that any large-scale restaurant would be envious of. Next slide. What is a teaching kitchen? A teaching kitchen is a dedicated space for education that provides hands-on practice to increase culinary skills and food service knowledge. The overall purpose of a teaching kitchen is for students to learn cooking skills and techniques in a commercial kitchen environment that imitates real-world experience. Next. So let's break this down into what a teaching kitchen is. The first aspect of a teaching kitchen has a dedicated space. There must be a specific space for the training to take place. Secondly, hands-on learning. Thirdly, which seems obvious, but in some cases it isn't, it's about students gaining culinary skills. And the fourth aspect that is often missed is imitates real world. So what does all this come out to? A place to learn about food service industry. These points of clarification explain what a teaching kitchen is. If we think about it, these points of clarification pretty much are in any mission. And so any mission should be able to provide these identifiers in its organization. If you are currently preparing food to serve clients, then you are on your way to developing a teaching kitchen. Next. Teaching kitchens can be defined by various levels of capacity. The first level could be labeled as a functional capacity kitchen. This is often what most old school missions have when they state they are a teaching kitchen. This is basically step one from being a soup kitchen to a teaching kitchen. They would use program clients to do basic kitchen work, might expect food handlers cards based on state requirements. This is what Springs Rescue Mission was in 2013. They were probably even less than functional. They were maybe a half step. It was basically a place to put the men in the addiction recovery program during their non-program time. It was called ministry assignment. Then there is the mid-capacity teaching kitchen. specific training for various food service roles, such as dish line, prep cook, line cook, hospitality, etc. Informal food service vocational track that provides some credentials, i.e. food handler's permit if required in your location, and possibly a culinary career path with outside food service companies once graduated. This is where SRM was before they built a new kitchen. They had many aspects of a teaching kitchen, but it was not quite a full teaching kitchen. And then finally, the top tier is the high capacity teaching kitchen. This is when you've got a sizable kitchen space for teaching kitchens, for a teaching kitchen with commercial equipment needed for specific roles, strong culinary tract and vocational programs for clients, even a cycle menu that when you provide food in your food services, ability to test clients' competency to advance to the next levels, kind of like in a trade school, strong client outcomes and food services credentials and job placement, often linked with food services related social enterprises, and career paths linked to partner employees. Next. Okay, so how do we get from traditional mission kitchen to functional, then to mid-level, and finally to a high-capacity kitchen? Before we do that, we need to ponder something. We have to understand where our organization is at. What are you doing now? What is your position in the organization? And let's ponder this question. Would most of your organization consider it a positive to have a teaching kitchen? So you probably think, of course, but let's think through it. Program staff. Would the programs team look at vocational training as a benefit to the clients? Leadership. Would the leadership of the organization see a teaching kitchen as a benefit? Kitchen staff. What about the ones that have to do the work? What do they think of it? And then development staff. What about the team that does the fundraising? The answer to the questions above is no. What will it take to shift the mindset? Are there just a few staff members who don't want to make the shift, or are their entire departments? More importantly, does the leadership believe in the idea? That's the most important one. And what if the answer is yes? Why would they consider it positive? Are they prepared to do what it takes to make a teaching kitchen successful? Are you thinking of all the tensions that will have to be managed? Programs versus operations. Will the leadership worry about the upfront costs? Will the development team be able to communicate correctly? Think about it. When you make changes to programs, does the development department get frustrated because they feel like they don't have the best information to tell donors? And then finally, what will it take to move to the next phase? Starts with an organizational mindset. I have added a survey to the toolkit that can help your team know where the organization is regarding their mindset. Then looking at staffing and, of course, budgeting. Next slide. What do we need to think about in the kitchen? In the kitchen first, sorry. What kind of staff is best for a teaching kitchen? Let's look at the primary goal of a teaching kitchen. It isn't about making the finest style of food. It isn't even about creating world-famous dishes. It's about teaching students. The primary goal is to instruct students. So what does this mean? It means you are not looking for the best chef or the best line cook. You are looking for someone who knows how to follow rules. You are looking for a long-term prep cook who is detail-oriented. You want a person who can follow a recipe to the T. A person who, even though they have memorized a recipe, they still have the recipe card in front of them every time they make the item. You need a cook who can walk anyone through the process of prepping an item, from washing their hands to labeling and placing the item in the refrigerator and then into the oven and cooking it. It is very similar to playing a sport and coaching a sport. The best athletes often do not make the best coaches because they aren't learning about the sport, the variations, the intricacies of the game. They are relying on their athleticism. Mid-range players are the students of the game. They spend all of their time trying to get better, trying to make the slightest improvements to their sport to be better. They are the ones who find the slight changes to help the athletes later coach. You are looking for someone who can reproduce themselves. Good culinary instructors produce good students who become good employees. When the students leave your organization, they will need to be able to follow their employees' recipes and cooking methods. A teaching kitchen needs teachers who can reproduce themselves, but what else do you need in the kitchen besides teachers and students? You need a leader, someone who can see the entire playing field. In sports, this is the athletic director. In film, this is the producer. It is the one that keeps everything moving. It is someone who's administrative, can stop can stay on top of the paperwork, guide the staff, and talk to donors and customers. Now you're going to say, great, where do I find that type of person? Where to find external hires for the head of a teaching kitchen? American Culinary Federation events. I actually found my lead, Tyler Peoples, at a culinary event. Restaurant Association events, great place to find experienced managers with all the necessary experience and skills. Go to the larger churches in your areas and post the job description. The hardest issue with finding an experienced lead is finding one who is a Christian. Look for good candidates at local restaurant chains, such as Chick-fil-A. They know how to serve customers, they know how to provide a process, and their managers follow the process. Local business schools. More often than not, the people in a business school have actually been through the restaurant world and were business managers. Job postings, often not as effective as targeting candidates above who may not necessarily be actively job hunting, but the right job description posted will bring you the right people. The next item to discuss is the budget. The budget for a teaching kitchen will be higher than you expect. When I first arrived at Springs Rescue Mission, the budget process was basically determined by how low I could get each meal cost. At one time, I had the cost in the pennies by using all of the GIK I could find in the city. However, this is not teaching culinary skills. This is great for keeping costs down, but not for taking food services from a soup kitchen to a teaching kitchen. SRM now serves 225,000 plus meals per year, 3 meals a day to 450 to 600 new clients each day. There's a full service catering company with 7 employees. The food purchases alone are $250,000 a year between the kitchen and catering. The teaching kitchen is now one of, if not the largest departmental budgets in the mission. Next. Springs Rescue Mission's food service program is now a training kitchen. High-end commercial kitchen that has a sequence of areas to teach in, the dish pit, the prep cook line, the line cook, the lead cook areas. Has 400 graduates with food handlers permits per year. Contract with Employment First brings in $800,000 per year just for the food services side of training, and a high employment rate. Next, SRM Food Services also has a social enterprise and catering business. Mission Catering brings in $650,000 annually without any advertising. They plan to add advertising now with a projected future revenue of $1 million over the next year or two. There's a ton of work and resources to develop a teaching kitchen, so why take the time to develop a teaching kitchen? The first reason is what the client gets from developing a teaching kitchen. Immediate feedback from instructors. Ability to develop proficiency in various cooking techniques. Allows for supervised practice. These in turn give the client skills and knowledge for future careers, and it provides long-term outcomes. The second benefit, which is often unexpected, is organizational culture. A teaching kitchen puts the operations and program departments on the same page. When I got to SRM, the organization had some cultural issues among staff, and I don't think it was unique to SRM. Let me ask you all a question. Do your organizations have frustrations that arise between program staff and operations? For SRM, the program staff was upset with the operations staff because the clients were doing mission tasks, which interfered with programs. The operations staff was upset with program staff because they thought the case managers, etc., were too soft on the clients. Over time, we realized that program staff and operation staff could work together towards the same goal, which was client future success. If the clients were learning something, that would be a long-term outcome during their ministry work assignment. Then that time would be programmatic, not just work and tasks to be accomplished. Once the teaching kitchen was actually providing vocational training, the teams were getting along and the culture was being strengthened. We actually put all of our operations and programs into one division. There was no longer a program side and an operations side. Everyone was in programs. The benefit of developing a teaching kitchen is one that should pique all of our interests. That's third final one, organizational sustainability. When your operations provide vocational training outcomes, funding comes with it. In 2013, Springs Rescue Mission had little to no grant funding. In 2014, SRM received a $50,000 grant from a local organization because of the food service training. It has since grown to over $2 million in grants and funding. That does not include donors who give because of work training. Not only does SRM receive grants, they have partners in the community that hire the culinary graduates. They have donors who tell other individuals about what we do or what they do. It is a wonderful communication to the city of Colorado Springs. The Teaching Kitchen is the largest budget, but it is also the largest revenue generator. The Teaching Kitchen currently has nearly $2 million in grants associated with either vocational training or food for the impoverished. Some of these grants are from the private donor funders. Others, as you can see, are government grants. The largest grant is Employment First, which is a federal grant that is distributed through the Department of Human Services at the state level. SNAP Employment and Training Program. The Employment First grant is through the SNAP program or food stamps. All states have a SNAP Employment First program. If you go to this website, you will find your state's program. Another great benefit of Teaching Kitchen is how it can provide an employment and management pipeline. Moving on to the next. And then the next. Let me ask you some questions. What is the average tenure of entry-level employees? Think about it. Less than 1 year? About 1 year, 2 or more years. And if you're in that 2 or more years, you're better off than most. Developing a Teaching Kitchen improves retention. It provides long-term outcomes for clients through job skills, allows for better job placement, and then it improves management abilities. As one teaches, they learn. As we talk about partners, here's what they are saying are the challenges to their food services leadership pipeline. Would you agree? What might be different in your food services? Clients or food service interns are very short term, limited growth for staff, and limited bandwidth. Most of the time, right, our kitchen staff has 2 or 3 people at most with volunteers, and so we aren't prepared. What if one employee is out sick? Or worse, what if 2 employees quit? What do you do then? You have a completely limited bandwidth and a lot of stressed out individuals. However, if you go into the Training Kitchen method, when you have a Teaching Kitchen, you strengthen your pipeline. Want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, so Jeff, this is Andrew Sears. I'm going to share just a little bit more details on this slide after you're done with it too. But go ahead, Jeff.
Great. Okay. Now, if you look at it, now what we have is a bandwidth and growth. We have opportunities not only for the clients as they learn each level. When they graduate, they can move on. They can move from from dishwasher to prep cook to line cook to lead within your organization. And then maybe you hire them and they become a lead cook and an instructor, or they're able to go off into the community, find a good restaurant job, and move up into that environment as well because they've learned what it means at every level. But then you've also provided for your team these levels of growth so that they too want to stick around. As they're enjoying watching the clients learn, they feel more engaged and they're there more often. All right, Andrew, your turn.
Yeah, so I want to just kind of highlight how this ties in with City Vision University. So as Jeff mentioned, he's the director of our social enterprise and food services programs. And we have a food services certificate program that's here, and that's really designed to help equip people to be, an assistant kitchen manager or kitchen manager. But one of the things we do is a lot of the hands-on training that you guys are doing, we can provide credit recognition for that. So what that's going to do is we can, accelerate someone's path to get an associate's degree. So if they get their, food services certificate, then they could get the associate's degree after that. And then that can build into a bachelor's and potentially a master's, just like, Jeff got with City Vision. Um, so, what I'd like to do is just talk a little bit more about how City Vision supports developing a food services employee pipeline and Teaching Kitchens. So I'm the president of City Vision University, and I want to kind of provide the big picture of what it is that we're trying to do. So City Vision works with hundreds of nonprofits. We have a lot of different partners that will work with us. And each year we're having about 600 partner meetings. We have over 500 students. We have advisory councils. One of them is going to be in food services and teaching kitchens. And then with a lot of our partners, we're collecting all these resources, all these documents into toolkits. So we have different toolkits. The one that we're going to focus on here is our food services toolkit. And what we're trying to do is these toolkits actually integrate with our different courses, and we have a lot of toolkits in other areas. And the idea is that we're collecting tons of articles, resources, textbooks, working with different workshops, associations, and a lot of our partners, and we're collecting resources in that. And then we have different City Vision faculty, program directors, subject matter experts, guest speakers, and we're actually using AI tools to kind of compile this. And so the food services toolkit, we have over 200 documents from different organizations. And part of what we're trying to do is to diffuse innovation between students, between organizations, and at a movement level. So what we've done is we've done a lot of research on food services. So, Jeff's already talked about his expertise, but City Vision's met with hundreds of missions to learn about their food services programs, their training, and their teaching kitchens. As I mentioned, we have 400 to 500 meetings a year, and we've taken notes on the best practice. We also did a research project where we reviewed all the publicly available information on over 200 rescue missions, and we analyzed that because it was so much information. We had to analyze it using AI, and we compiled the best practices in a report from the 16 missions that are have something that's close to a teaching kitchen, and I'll talk about those in the next slide. And we've assembled best practices and document templates into a toolkit. So, and I'll show you that in just a minute. So the missions that we've identified that have something close to a teaching kitchen is this list here, and you can get these slides through the toolkit, and you can kind of find the direct links to these: Knox Area Rescue Mission, St. Matthew's House, Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries, and a lot of these others. We believe that there's others that are out there, but we haven't been able to identify them. So if you want to be added to this list, let us know. Now, I want to talk about the toolkit. So if you just go to this bit.ly/CVU Food Services, or you can scan the QR code, we have this toolkit with a lot of different resources. We have over 200 templates in resources. And if you have additional that you want to share, please send us an email at partnerships@cityvision.edu. But what I'd like to do is just show you how to get to this toolkit. So if you go to our website and you go to Food Service Management Certificate, then you'll come to a page that's here. And then we've put the certificate down below, and we'll have this recording on this page also. So you can go here, and then we're actually just doing the toolkit in Google Drive. Part of the reason for that is, as I mentioned, we use a lot of AI tools to analyze this. And what we've done is we've compiled the best resources that we can find. There's a lot of resources from Springs Rescue Mission that was provided by Jeff and others at Springs Rescue Mission whenever Jeff was there. They have a lot of different things. So there's this presentation that we're with all the links that it includes, but it also has an overview of their culinary arts training program, the business plan. We have this research report that we've done. We have this list of missions with culinary training programs. And then there's things like this nonprofit food services best practice checklist that was, I believe that this was originally developed as a part of the certification program with Citygate, or actually it was Association of Gospel Rescue Missions. We actually have been using this in our food services training course since I think before 2008. And then there's a lot of other resources in here that you can see, and I'll try to make this a little bit bigger to make it so you can see them. So there are food services templates. There's different social enterprise manuals, and we'll be adding to this over time. So again, if your mission has something that you would like to share, we'd love to add that to that. So that's the toolkit, and part of our goal really is we're trying to advance the whole movement. We're not just trying to help your organization. We're trying to advance the whole movement. But to make that possible, you have to give back. So if you guys have useful resources for others, we want you to contribute those. So one of the main ways that we support rescue missions and their food services programs is through supporting program interns. So a lot of program interns will work in food services after they graduate. So we have a program that's called our Wounded Healers Aftercare Partnership Program, and it serves as a wraparound support where you can outsource to City Vision for your partner program graduates, and we'll help equip them. And what it does is it helps improve retention and outcomes for program graduates because one, they can see how food services can serve as a stepping stone into a career path, kind of like what Jeff had showed earlier. But secondly, is they're going to be working intensively on their life skills to reduce their risk of relapse or acting out in ways that could result in job loss. So it's great if you learn all these, kitchen skills and all these food service management skills, but if you haven't developed the life skills so that you can just keep a job, then that's going to be a problem. Now, one of the best things about this program is most program graduates, usually almost 100%, will qualify for a Pell Grant. And that is typically going to cover all of their tuition. So for most of our partners, if your partner is sending us two or more students, here's how the math of that works. So the maximum Pell Grant currently, and this changes from year to year, is $924. With the partner scholarships of two or more students, the student ends up getting paid. So not only is it free, but they're getting paid $324 per course as they go through this. So again, here's some of the details of how the Wounded Healers program works. So we provide three things. We provide remote case management. So if the student encounters a crisis, we can help work with them in that. And then we have 7 different undergraduate focused certificates, and they could start in food services, but they may go and say, you know what, I'd also like to get a certificate in addiction counseling. And then we have all these life skills courses. And honestly, most of our students in the program say that this is the thing that helps them the best. And all of these are project based. So in our vocation course, they're developing a life plan. And our Wounded Healers course, they're developing a recovery and relapse prevention plan. And other things on how do you have healthy relationships, manage your personal finance, take care of physical health, avoid behavioral addictions. And these are all skills similar to what many missions train in, but the way we describe it is if you guys provide 101 level, we're going to provide the 201 level. So enable them to go deeper. And the other thing is we're essentially providing aftercare support that can last for years to help keep them on the straight and narrow. Now, there's 2 requirements to do this. Number one, you have to have a high school diploma or equivalent. The other is you have to have 17 hour being willing to do 17 hours of work per week for the course. We've had a large number of partners, over 57 ministry partners. We've had last year in 2024, we had 162 wounded healers, and we have a really high employment rate. Part of the reason for that is about half of the students in this program are working for the mission, the other half are working regular jobs, and a really good graduation rate for our students. And really what we are is we're a next step after they complete your residential recovery program. You can see a list of some of the partners that we've had over the years and how many students they've sent us. So what is our online certificate in food services management? Now, this is the path for wounded healers. So we have life skills courses kind of on this side, and then the food services management courses on this side. So if you're taking someone who's a program graduate, they'll take our vocation, calling, and purpose of work course. They'll take our wounded healers course that's focused on recovery, and then they could pick one other life skills course, maybe emotional intelligence and ministry and management. And then they could take these other courses. So this introduction to management and leadership is basically to equip people to be a first-time manager. And then Jeff teaches the food services management course that's going to help them. And this is really focused on nonprofit food services, help them implement best practices at your mission. And then the Org 101 is focused on just an overview of nonprofits and ministries. Now, as I mentioned, there's ways that you can get credit for work that they're doing in your teaching kitchen. So we can provide recognition in the teaching kitchen for any sort of structured training and on-the-job food services lab. So, what we need essentially is we need a program outline, course syllabi, we need the learning hours, we need the lab hours, and then we would need informal transcript of the courses completed. So again, if you want to do this, email us at partnerships@cityvision.edu. And typically, structured teaching kitchen programs are going to be recognized for 6 to 30 university credits. And as I mentioned, this can significantly accelerate path to a degree. We could also potentially recognize other life skills and spiritual training courses. And we have some examples of this provided in the Springs Rescue Mission toolkit. So the idea is that they would start with this certificate program, and it's 16 to 18 credits, and then over time they would move to an associate's, and they could get an associate's. Usually the most popular is associates in business or nonprofit management, and then a bachelor's in nonprofit management or a business with concentrations in nonprofit management and social enterprise. And then they can go on for graduate certificate and master's, just like Jeff did. So if you wanted to see all the degrees that we have these 4 main degrees. We offer those at 5 levels, from undergrad certificate to associate's, bachelor's, graduate certificate, and master's. And then we also have food services, retail management, and we have nonprofit fundraising. And these are a part of a larger selection of courses that we have. I'm not going to go into all of these, but we have a wide range of nuts and bolts courses that your students can take. Now, what our food services goals are for partners. So for clients, we're trying to provide training to program graduates of partners in food services and those that are in management, to both improve retention and expand career prospects in the food services industry. Really, the number one reason why most organizations, including McDonald's and almost all restaurants, are providing education as an employee benefit, it's because it improves retention. So that's a big factor because in food services, retention is really difficult. But the other thing is we want to enable our partners to create a pipeline of new staff and managers to improve their team capacity and retention. And then the third thing is to improve the overall capacity of the organization and the larger movement to improve food services. So if you want to get more information, you can go to our food services toolkit. You can share your resources and best practices with other missions by sending us an email. Or if you want to partner with us on this, you can go to that email. And if you want to talk more with Dr. Jeff Cook, as he mentioned, he has a consulting practice, focusrestconsulting.com, or you can send him an email. So hopefully you found all of this helpful, and we're really excited about helping to support you. So please reach out to us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.